people that are stuck in a career, they want to transfer to something else. Often, like I said, there's transferable skills, but there's going to be a learning curve. If you're not ready to put the work to gain the knowledge, it's not going to work out for you. To learn a new skills, it requires 20 hours of serious work, which is actually not that a lot. You could gain the skill set that you need to be a good candidate for a new position.
Welcome to the Grant Owen Podcast, where we explore the world of entrepreneurship. Join us as we dive into the nitty-gritty of what it takes to start, grow, and scale a successful business. We're on a mission to share our experiences, failures, insights, and advice with others. Whether you're just starting out in your entrepreneurial journey or you're looking to take your business to the next level, tune in and join the conversation about what it takes to succeed in the world of business.
We going full throttle.
Welcome to the Young and Driven Podcast. I'm your host, Grant, and I am so grateful to have Sylvie Desjardins with me today. As always, if you're listening to this, I don't ask for likes, comments, subscribes, or anything like that. All I ask is that if you benefit from this conversation, send it to one person. If there's one person that you think needs to hear this and needs to hear about Sylvie's story and about her experience and what she does, send it to that person because that would really value them. And I make this for you and that person. I don't make this for a ton of people. I just want people to get value from it. So please, if you do nothing else, just send it to one person. That's all I ask. Sylvie, thank you so much for spending time with me today. I really appreciate you spending your morning with me.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so I want to give some context as to what I'd want to kind of dive into for today. A lot of what I try to do for my listeners is help people that are entrepreneurially driven, but are in that almost like wantrepreneur state. And I want to showcase different types of business owners, different types of founders, and different businesses in general, and kind of detail ways that you got from point A to point B, and things you overcame in that process, so that can kind of give that person that's wanting to start that side hustle or wanting to start that thing, or maybe has experience similar to you and is saying, oh man, I can actually do this. I want to kind of give them that encouragement to kind of take some action. So I want to get some broad things and learn more about you as a person, and learn more about your personality and what like the macro perspective. And then I would also love to get some, just like a tiny bit of tactical, just so we can help people. So that's a lot of what my questions are going to be around. Does that sound good?
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
Awesome. So tell the audience, tell me what you do. What is your business, and how long have you been doing it?
So I'm a career counselor, and I've been helping high achievers figure out what they want to do with their career, even in their 40s. I've been doing it for 13 years now, but as a business owner with NxCareer, since 2017. Or no, that's untrue. I started in 2015, but doing it full-time in 2017.
Gotcha.
So the first 2 years, it was a side hustle. But then I took that leap of faith and left my full-time position to do this full-time and be able to help more people.
Love it. So what were you doing in your full-time position? Like before you took that leap?
Yeah, I did a lot. I was always looking for that like stable job. I worked for the government. I worked for a college. I worked for a university. I'm in Moncton, New Brunswick. And so it was always like contractual work, not necessarily related to my field of expertise. And I was just job hopping because I felt bored after a year or two. I always felt like something was missing in my job. So when I started my business, the crazy part is that I was actually working as a rentalsman for the government. So like writing reports, like legal files on who's responsible for a hole in a wall. So not really purposeful work. And one day, one of my colleagues, she was like, oh, my daughter does not have a clue what she wants to do when she graduates. So and I just said, you know what, how about I just go to your home tomorrow and I'm going to go help her. That's what I did. And it really went well. It was so good for me to just get back to my roots and what I've known, and because I have a master's degree in career counseling. So just to get back in that was really, it felt purposeful. And then this colleague, she referred me to a cousin and then a neighbor. So I like quickly saw that there was something there. And that's where I started maybe thinking a little bit more seriously about, what about just starting a side hustle? I'm just gonna create a little website on Wix and advertise what I do. But mostly my first clients were people that I knew.
That's awesome. I mean, that's a great way to get started. So you're helping to bridge the gap between someone and what they're currently doing and what they want to do. What's a consistent theme? Because I think, especially now, there's a lot of people that are probably discontent with their career. There's a lot of people that are discontent in their work. What's your process for almost like discovering whether that person's like an ideal client for you? To figure out like whether they're like wanting to work with someone like you to figure out the next step.
Yeah, so the example that I just shared was someone who was a high school student, but most of our clients, I would say 70% of our clients are adults in their 40s who are like, you know what, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up. And I have 20 years left in my career, and it's just not working for me. What we do often, and have you ever heard about the concept ikigai?
No.
So it's something that I actually use a lot in my process, where when you're connected to your ikigai, it's when you find something that is that you're good at, that you are interested in, because sometimes you can be good at something, doesn't mean that you're interested in. Then that provides you the lifestyle that you want and that the world needs it. Because let's say that you want to do something, but it's not something that is really popular, that the world does not necessarily need it, you're not going to be able to make a living out of it. So when you use those four components and you merge them together, whatever comes up, that's the right job for you. That's the right career. So all through the process that we do with our clients, it's really figuring out all of those factors, so that when they come up with the right career, not only they're going to be good at it, they're going to be interested in, and it's going to match the lifestyle that they want. So if they want to work remotely, it's going to merge with that. If they want to have a stable job at 9 to 5, it's going to also align with that. So depending on the key factors that you have, we make sure that it's all aligned.
What's the difference between you guys and like a recruiter, for example?
The most important question is that the most important part is that a recruiter really try to put you in a hole, or like you're supposed to be the piece of a puzzle for a company. So they focus on the company. So they try to not fix you, but put you in that hole where it's gonna align better with the company. So they don't necessarily take into account your interest, or if it's going to match the lifestyle that you want, or if you see it as purposeful work. For us, the way we do our work is working with the individual. And actually, since the pandemic, we've been offering services to companies because we knew why people were not content in their work. So we've been sharing that information with companies. So when we actually do kind of recruiting, for us, it takes a bit more time, because it needs to be a perfect match between the company and the individual.
So in this kind of, I mean, I have my cultural perspectives of how people look at work, at least in America, and I'm not sure if there's similarities with Canada, but there's like, from my perspective, there's a younger generation that constantly says, do what you want and do what you love. And it seems like people that are in the 40s, 50s, probably your target demographic, they are prioritizing just kind of like a job being a means to an end. And so I can imagine there's probably people that are listening to this on both sides of that spectrum that are saying, I'm still trying to figure out, maybe I'm graduating college, and I'm still trying to figure out what I really want to do. Yes, I got a degree in business, or yes, I got a degree in communication, or yes, I got a degree in liberal arts, or marketing maybe. But like, if that's the case, like they're still trying to figure out what that piece is, and they think, okay, let me just get this entry level job at this company or this firm. Usually people don't get that job. That's their dream job from the get. So they got that entry level job, and they figure out they first encounter things they don't like. They first encounter like things where it's like, I don't know my like you said ikigai, like for I think I've heard of it as like zone of genius, like your sphere of genius of like what gives you the most energy in collaboration with what you're best at. So everybody has that place of genius. For that target person where it's like they do need to get a job and they need to start the right way, what would you recommend for, like, from a framework of mental, like what questions should you ask yourself to figure out, is this the job that really fits what I want to do?
So here's my unpopular opinion here. When someone says you should do what you love, for me, that's bullshit. When someone says, like someone from another generation that says you should choose a career for the stability and the benefits, for me, that's bullshit. When you find the right job for you, it actually aligns with all of that. You can't just say, I'm going to follow my passion and I'm going to do what I'm passionate about if that does not align with the lifestyle that you want. For example, if I'm passionate about, I don't know, something that I would have to do, let's say in Africa, but I want a family, I want a stable like life and like have my farm and my garden at home, well, it's not going to align. If your job is only available in Africa, as much as you can be passionate about that, it's not going to align with the lifestyle that you want. And for those folks who are thinking of like, well, you should be choosing a career that aligns with benefits, well, your career will be quite long and it's going to be boring, and you'll be looking at your watch and you'll be living for your weekend. That's not a way of living. So that's why the best tip that I can tell you is figuring out really, yes, what are you interested in? What are you passionate about? Are you good at that stuff? Does that align with the lifestyle that I want? And does the people need it? Can I make a living out of it? So really, if we can make it as simple as possible, it's really making sure that whatever you pick align with those 4 factors. Now, for the young folks that are listening and are just trying to figure out their next step, having the clarity when it comes to your goal, that's the most important part. And absolutely, you can figure it out along the way, but you can be leaving a lot of money on the table. You could be leaving a lot of great opportunities on the table if it's unclear. The clearer you are as soon as possible, the more effective you'll be in your making decision process of choosing the right opportunity. So if you know that you want to become, I don't know, a manager at a big corporation, picking a job in a startup might not be the best option. It would be better for you to pick an entry-level position where you're going to be able to just take the ladder and get one step at a time. Now, if you want to innovate and do amazing stuff and create stuff, well, being in the corporate world where you're going to be perhaps stuck in a box in a structured environment that does not leave a lot of space for creativity, that might not be the right way to start. So that's how the clearer it is for you at the beginning, the better your decision will be.
Yeah, I love that. I think I've heard one of my favorite quotes. I'm going to quote my own father. He told me one day, he said, the clearer your idea of success is, the sooner you will know if you're deviating from it.
I love that.
Yeah, I just think that's super powerful. But there's an element though, when you're younger, you don't know what you don't know. So like, for example, I started my career, I dove straight into investment banking. I worked for 4 years in an investment bank, corporate side, and it was the job that you wanted to have. I worked on the loan side, moved over to the trading side. Like that's where you wanted to be. That's what you wanted to have. I, for the first year, was like, yeah, this is awesome. This is great. This is exactly what I love. This is really fun. But partially because it's new. And partially because like anything for the first 6 months when you're learning it, it's exciting. Any change when you're tired of something or when you're wanting to start something, any change whatsoever, that first 6 months is just is super fun. And then the rubber hits the road and you realize, oh, there's all these other elements that are not fun. And I realized that I'm doing the same thing I was doing like 3 months ago. And I'm doing the same thing that I was doing 12 months ago. And I'm looking around and I see, like in my case, in the investment bank, I looked around, I was like, that person's been here for 40 years. And I think in that time, one person that was like a director level retired, had been working there for 30, 40 years. And 3 months later, most people couldn't remember his name. And so for me, I was like, that just sounds so abysmal that you would dedicate so much of your life to something that would have such a minimal impact. So when you're in that place where you don't know what you don't know, and there's an element where you just need to start and do something, what would you recommend for people that are like, you know what, Sylvie, I don't know what my goal is. I know I need to do something. I need to try something. I know I'm good at these things, or at least I can do these things. I don't know what I love, but I know I can do. Like, what would you say to the person that just doesn't know what they don't know?
Well, going actually back to your zone of genius, I think that human beings, we are quite exceptional. And even when we don't know something, we kind of know it. And I'll give you an example. When I was working for the government, the rentals job that I mentioned, I remember my father, who had worked for the government his whole life, was like, oh my God, that's amazing. I mean, I was the youngest in the province with that job. It was a very important position. And my boss was telling me, hey, I'm retiring in a couple of years. You're going to take my place. You're like really good at your job. And when she said that, I remember I can still get back to that moment. I was like, I don't want that. That's not exciting for me.
Yeah.
And when people would ask me, what do you do for a living? I was so shy of saying what I was doing because it was not aligning with the person that I was.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely true that you don't know what you don't know. But for me, if I could go back, taking that position was for me, I stole my like, there's 2 years of my, yes, I gained like good experience, but was it helpful for me in the future? Not necessarily. So it's 2 years of being business or doing something where I could increase my skill set for something that I was truly passionate about. So going back to someone who just starts, if you could have the experience of just going for a day with someone that you know that already works in the field, you can already learn a lot about the job. Can I see myself in that work environment? Can I see myself doing those tasks? If you have the opportunity to sit in a meeting and see how does that feel or sounds, does that align with the person that I am? So in the process that I explained earlier, it's actually one of the last part that we do with our clients of just connecting them to someone who already does the job. And often it's either going to confirm or they're going to come back and be like, you know what, it's not what I thought. So that's a good tip that the folks can use and see, is it something that I truly want?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, because when I was transitioning, I went from that financial, like investment banking role, and then I went and I was like, you know what, I think I want to do something in IT. I have friends that do IT, and my perspective at the time was less of what do I want in life. It was more like, what can I do that makes me the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time that gives me the most amount of flexibility? Because I didn't know anything else. I was just like, I want flexibility. I would love to be able to work remotely at some point, and I would love to. I want to just make as much money as I see other people making. So that's what I was like. If I'm going to transition and I'm going to move outside of investment banking, I'm going to do IT. So I met with, I think, 15 people in it, and I asked about my situation. I asked them about what I was doing. I said, what barriers do you think I would have to overcome? What I would just call people, and most of them just said, Grant, you're going to have a tough time. You're gonna. It's like, and especially if you want to be a developer, you don't have a degree, you didn't go to school for it. It's just gonna be really tough for you to bootstrap this. There's things you can do, but to be honest, like a lot of it was just like, maybe just get a contract and see if you like it. So that's what I did. I got a contract, did testing, didn't love it. And then I kept on thinking that there was another avenue in this. Maybe if I do project management, maybe if I work on this bridge, maybe if I work on these different types of projects. And ultimately I had a similar thing that you had, Sylvie, where like I communicated with one of my bosses, and it was a one-on-one with her. And I was asking her, I said, what do you want to do in the next 10, 15, 20 years? Because at this point I had that entrepreneurial bug. I'd had my little side businesses, right? And I'd done enough with them where I was like, yep, I really want to do that. I don't want to be employed by somebody. So I asked her, I said, like, what do you want to do? And she was like, you know what? In 20 years, it'd be really great if I could have my boss's job. And as soon as she said that, I was like, whoa, I need to get out of here. Just because the thought of like giving my life just to get 1 or 2 levels up felt so debilitating to what I really wanted to do. And that was just like super, really, like, I don't know. That just is what pushed me over the edge. What do you say to people on the other side of the spectrum that are probably in her shoes? They're in their 40s, relatively successful, have been doing something for a long time, and are like, you know what, I could just keep coasting. Or they're like, you know what, I'm really unsettled. And it's not just the company. I'm realizing it's the role. It's not just like, it's not just the fact that I'm working for this company, I just need to change cultures. It's this function itself. I need to stop doing it.
I would say to those people, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Most of my clients, it's the situation that they're in. And the great news is that when you are at a level of like a management position in something, you've gained really important skills, like a really good skill set that can be transferable to a lot of different positions. So it's a matter of like really assessing what are the things that you have right now that you still like, and what are the things that you're like that does not resonate with you. I like the fact that you mentioned you kind of separated the function with the business or the corporation or the working condition, because that's the first thing that we're trying to assess. Are you perhaps in the right career but simply with a bad employer, or it's really the job, the career that you're in that is not a right fit for you? So that's really important to assess, because sometimes it's actually a case where we do have clients that at the end of the process, it's confirmed that they actually chose well, they're in the right field, but it's still not aligning for them. And it's so sad to see, but here in New Brunswick, I had like maybe 2 years ago, so many nurses that were just questioning their path. And every time that I would look at my booking system and I would look at the profile and it was another nurse, I was like, oh my gosh, they're all going to leave the system, the health system. But most of them, they were actually in the right position, like in the right career, but the system was just not aligning with their values. And that's something that if it does not align with your values, that's going to be a drainer, and it can bring you to having depression, burnout, really important serious mental health issues. So that you don't want to wait too long when it's your case. But the good part for those nurses is that we were able to find other options for them, either like connected to the health system but not directly working at the hospital, or doing something completely different, because they had really a lot of transferable skills. So whatever you do, there's only one type of career that for me, that was the biggest, it was really a strong struggle, was I'm not sure I'm going to say it right in English, veterinarian, someone who
veterinarian,
like a doctor for dogs and cats. That was such like that was.
They were like, I don't like working with people. I want to work with animals. Is that what? So a lot of people.
And
that's awesome.
that particular client, she didn't want to work with animals anymore. So it was really niche and not a lot of transferable skills. But in 13 years of experience, that's the only case that I had that it was really hard to find something else. Other than that, whatever you're doing, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, even if you're 45, 50, or even 60.
I love that. What do you think, based on your assessment, is the most valuable skill to have, or maybe just like one or two of the most valuable skills to have, if you're looking to transition, or just like if you're in that place where you're definitely going to change at least jobs, maybe you stay in the same industry, you stay in the same role. You're like, if someone comes to you and they have these two skills, you're like, yep, it's going to be really easy to find you something.
That's a great question. I would say emotional intelligence, because that's going to help you be able to really first read the room, show some empathy, do some active listening, be open to learning from someone who has more experience or knowledge than you. So definitely emotional intelligence, and then I would say grit. Something that I often see is people that are stuck in a career. They want to transfer to something else, and often, like I said, there's transferable skills, but there's going to be a learning curve. And what you have to learn, if it's like just like a micro program online, or reading books about whatever you want to do, you have to do that on your own time. And I truly believe in work-life balance, but if you're not ready to put the work to gain the knowledge, it's not going to work out for you. But as we're in the same group coaching, and Dan said yesterday that to learn a new skills, it requires 20 hours of serious work and studying. And I actually believe in that. If you're ready to study something like a new skill set for at least 20 hours, which is actually not that a lot, you could gain the skill set that you need to do to be a good candidate for a new position. So grit, emotional intelligence, that would be the two.
What would you say about the idea of like confidence? Because I imagine that a lot of people that are coming to you, they say they might not feel confident in their skill set of what they're already capable of and what they've already accomplished. They're coming to you because they feel lost. They're coming to you because they feel like probably very demotivated in their current position. And so they're likely not being like, yes, I know I have a ton of value and I'm just going to rip a bunch of these applications and do a bunch of these interviews, and I feel very proud of myself and very confident in who I am in this transition. What would you say to those people that are like, nope, I don't feel very confident in my skill set because I don't know what's right for me, because I don't know what my skill set is?
Have confidence. Maybe you don't have the confidence on with your skill set, but have the confidence that you can learn quite quickly. That's the important part. And if often when you're transitioning towards a new career, we often recommend the number one job search strategy that we recommend is using what we call the secret job market. That's where you can find 80% of the available position. That's where the only way you can have access to those positions is through your network. Now, when you're using your network or connecting with people through LinkedIn, for example, you become more than a piece of paper that highlights your skill set. You become a person. And if you connect, often I'm going to tell a client, so connect with someone who already does the job at a company that you're interested in. Ask them for a 20-minute meeting and just show some interest with the projects that they're working on, for their career path, what they've done in the past, what are the challenges that they're encountering in their position. Just show some interest, and at the end you can say, you know what, everything that you just shared truly resonates with me. What tips would you have for me if I'd like to join the workforce with this company? And often just because you showed interest in them, they might open a door for you. So having the confidence of connecting with others already is going to help your reputation, and then you can show up, meet with the supervisor, the owner, whatever, and be like, you know what, this is new for me. However, I've already done X and X. I took that course online for 10 hours. I've learned this. I'm ready to put to be an asset for this company. I realize that there will be a learning curve. However, I'm really confident in my ability to learn quickly. So I'm not saying I'm confident in my abilities to do the job right away. Put the ego aside, but show that you're capable of learning quite quickly and putting the effort towards what you want. They're going to applaud that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, so what do you think about the current state of application processes? Because I think a lot of people complain that, like, especially because remote jobs are at, like, searches and applications are at an all-time high. People are frustrated after COVID, going back to work, going back to the office. I was just talking to a developer the other day, and he was just saying that he's like, yeah, they moved us to 4 days a week in the office. I liked it when we had 3, and I prefer it when we had less. And I've seen on the job boards, it's like you can have one role and there's like 600 applications because people just kind of just hit that application button. How does someone navigate that and stick out in that crowd? So, like, maybe they've identified, this is what I want to do. I like this role. I like this job, or this fits with with my skill set. They decide they don't want to do something entrepreneurial. What should they do to stick out? Is it purely just reaching out to people within the company and finding specific roles, or is it like sending out that 100 applications? Like, do you prefer like send 5 applications and really go hard for the people there, or is it like be content to send the 100 applications and just try to go for volume?
Yeah, in this case, I would say that less is more. So there's 2 things here. You want to, as much as possible, have an entryway on the side door of the company where you connect with people, as I mentioned earlier, through LinkedIn, or try to help you get known within the company.
Yep.
And if you go through the process, if there's 1,600 applicants, you're probably going to go through what we call an ATS system, where it's going to be a machine system that will screen your resume. So you want to make sure that you use the right keywords. And even for your resume, less is more. It's not about explaining everything that you've done in your career, but more making sure that you're putting the relevant information, the relevant skill set, the relevant experience on your resume to make sure it's merged or it connects to the job that you want. So creating a resume that stands out for all the right reason and making sure that you tweak it every time, that's very, very important. So that's going to require you a bit more time. Yeah. It's better to do that for the jobs that you want instead of applying to 100 positions. But more than that, as I said earlier, the secret job market, it's really a thing. It's a thing in the US, it's a thing in Canada. So being known, trying to connect with someone that already works there, that's a great way, because they'll be able to say, hey, I met this guy, I had a conversation with him last week, and he's applying to this position. I would seriously consider that candidate. So again, you become more than a piece of paper, and that's really important.
I love that. I love that. Okay. Talk to people that maybe their zone of genius, their, what'd you say, ikigai? Mm-hmm. Is that what it is? Okay. That person really should just start their own thing. That's not for everybody. Entrepreneurship isn't for everybody. Having their own business isn't for everybody. But there's some people that have, you might be able to see like they're disgruntled, and the consistent theme is that it's not necessarily the bad environment, it's not necessarily a bad job, it's not necessarily a bad role, it's just that they're passionate about something for themselves. What would you say to those people?
So the thing is, when you're trying to be connected to your ikigai, you could be wearing more than one hat. So let's say that you're doing a job that you're good at and that aligns with the lifestyle that you have, and you're a bit interested in, but something's missing. And maybe it's not purposeful work enough. You could have a side hustle or something else. You could be wearing another hat that could fill up those buckets. I'll give you an example of one of my colleagues, Anik. So Anik, she does contractual work for us with NxCareer. And so she's a career counselor, but she's also the co-owner of 4 different restaurants. She's also doing our social media and doing the social media for the 4 restaurants. So she's wearing multiple hats. For her, wearing only one, something would be missing. She need that diversity in what she does. And she also like loves dancing, and she's part of a group that dances every week. These are things that she needs. Now, this is purposeful for her. This is aligned with her interests. But like dancing, she could not have, that does not align with the lifestyle that she wants. So she couldn't do it as like her real profession, her real career. So again, having all of those multiple hats, it's the perfect fit for her. And if she can really handle her schedule and she's well planned, it's all going to work out and it's going to be perfect for her. So that's how sometimes you can see your career with a different set of lens, that if what you're doing is not exactly what you want, but it does, like it feeds your family, you're having, you gain a really good salary, maybe to fill out your bucket, you need something on the side. And that we see more and more often, and that's okay. A good example that I could give you, Grant, is often I compare like careers with relationships. And I know you've been married since you were 20, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yep.
That is amazing. But yeah, when you're looking for the right partner, often, actually in our 20s, we look for someone who's going to be everything for us. So it's someone who's going to be a good cook, a good partner to like play sports with, to travel with, to go to concerts with. So we're looking for someone who fills all of our bucket. If you're lucky enough to have that, that's awesome. But that's not the case for everyone. And it doesn't mean that you're not a good fit for your partner. Just means that, like for me, my partner, perfect fit for me. We travel together. We can do sports together. But like this weekend, he's running a 65K doing trail running. It's crazy. I can't follow him on these adventures. So he has friends for that. I'm going to Paris in November because I wanted a workation. So I'll have a friend that will join me because she also owns a business. So she's my go-to girl when I want to travel and work while I travel. He can't do that for me because he's a doctor and it's just not working with his schedule. So that's how sometimes to have like the right lifestyle, we'll have different partners, a love partner, friends, people that we can go on adventures with. Same thing for our career. Sometimes we'll find something that like fills out some buckets, but then we need to wear another hat that will fill more.
Love that. Okay. I want to close with a question like this. What would you recommend to someone that's listening to this and they say, okay, I think that fits me, and maybe they've tried a few side hustles, they've tried a few things, they figure out that they really like one job, and they're saying, okay, I want to make sure this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to make sure, like, they need help framing their lifestyle versus the role itself, because maybe the role itself doesn't fit the lifestyle that they want, but they love the role. So like, for example, they desire to travel more, but they might be a doctor, and so they might be like, they're in the back of their mind, they're saying, okay, I want to do this, but I would, in order to do the workcation, I almost have to resort to like having that be at the end of my career, when I have more flexibility. How does someone start asking themselves those questions? This is the question. How does someone start asking themselves the lifestyle questions of what they want? Because usually you don't ask yourself those questions in your 20s, and sometimes you don't even ask them in your 30s. Sometimes you look back and you have regrets, or you realize that you spent a long time doing something you didn't love. So how do you start as soon as possible asking yourself what does balance mean to me? What does lifestyle mean to me?
That's such an important question, and it really depends on the scenario or what is your career or whatever you're doing. But like a doctor is a great example, where usually a doctor, you work in one hospital, you're on call and you're doing your stuff, your work. But you can ask yourself, like, what could I do differently? And like with that example, a doctor could, instead of having a permanent position in one hospital, you can do what we call locum, where you just give your name, you're in a system, and then you can be called to work in, I don't know, Wisconsin for a week, and then you get called in Washington to do another week. So if you're looking to travel, then it's going to align with that lifestyle. So it all depends if you're looking for stability or something that is more like adventurous. So really, the first thing you want to write down is like, what are the working conditions that you currently have? Is it stable, like financial stability with where I work? And really do the pros and cons of the things that you like and the things that you don't like about your working condition, and what would you be doing differently. And now, like, we have the doors are open with the world since the end of, well, are we still in the pandemic? I'm not sure.
Who knows?
But now we can travel, so there's more options. Look online and see there's so many blogs of people that are sharing their stories of doing things differently. But it all needs to start with you doing the work, the internal work of asking yourself the question, what do I like about what I do, and what would I do differently? And even if you don't already have the option, you'll be able to find it online and see, is there any other ways that I can perform my work, use my skill set, but in a different setting. And people could be surprised of the possibilities.
I love that. Okay, thank you so much. That's super helpful. And I'm so glad, I'm hoping this was valuable to someone that's listening to this, because what Sylvie's continually saying with each answer that she gives is that there's options. And I think there's probably people that are listening to this that are working a corporate job that feel like there's not options. They feel like the jump between where they're at and where they want to be is super far. And what Sylvie's showing you is that there's mental frameworks and there's baby steps you can take along the way. Sometimes it means reading a book. Sometimes it means taking a course. Sometimes it means reaching out to someone that's in the field that you are interested in, or works at the company that you are interested in. Those types of conversations can happen before you do something drastic, before you do something big. But all of it's about the discovery of, how do I figure out where I want to be? And I guarantee you, if you need help, I know Sylvie's a little bit too busy because she's got too many clients. We were just talking earlier about how she's been so referral based, and so many people want to work with her that she almost has like a waiting list of people to work with. But I would say, please join that waiting list if you're in that position and you're saying, like, I really want to help. And Sylvie, tell them about what you're doing in the next couple months that can make this process easier for them.
Yeah, here's the scoop, guys. I'll be starting a group. It's gonna be like group cure counseling. It's gonna be the first time, but if you're interested, I believe that, because right now I'm about to not take more clients as we speak. But
wait, Sylvie, you're saying that I might have access to you and a group of other people that also need help with this. Are you telling me that?
That's where I'm going with that. So it's going to be a group of people who are actually going through the same thing in different field of expertise. We'll be able to share. It's going to be a 12-week program where we all go through, first of all, figuring out, like, having that clarity. What questions can I ask myself? What do I need to do to know what the ultimate goal is? And then we're going to talk about, like, how to create that resume that stands out. How to, like, use LinkedIn, how to prepare for an interview. So all of that stuff that is so important that if you're not prepared, you could lose an opportunity. So starting in January. So if you're interested, go on our website. It's www.nxcareer.com, and send me a message, and I will gladly send you more info on the program.
That's awesome. That's super great. Yeah, I think the other cool part about that is, if you're in a community, maybe there's someone there that is doing the thing that you want to do, and maybe you can ask them about it, and maybe you can ask them about the pain points, and maybe those pain points are like, oh, actually, that still sounds pretty great, and you get instant access to the people that are probably doing the things you want to do. So I love that, and I love the community mindset, because what you're doing is you're bridging the gap between where people are at and what they want to do, which is what I want to do as well. So Sylvie, I just really appreciate you. Thank you for spending time, and I hope that this conversation gives a lot of hope that there is a light at the end of the tunnel for people that are in that transitionary process and really want to know about what to do next. So thank you so much. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next week.